It's just because I don't pay attention to the parts I think are going to be cut. It's just go, boop, it's out.
I think we're ready to go. Let's get into follow-up.
Yes, let's.
Follow-up from the previous episode. We got someone that posted on Reddit.
We got a comment.
Which is pretty exciting.
And it set off a whole bunch of bots that I had to go ban. That was fun.
I saw that. At first I was very confused. I was like, what? I saw all of these ratings like,
yeah.
Something bad spiraled out of this first comment, and Jacob had to drop the ban hammer on some early users. I don't know what happened. And then I saw, okay, now hold on. These are bots like
trolling each other. Like, what's going on?
It's like literally bots trolling each other. I was like, what the hell? How did this happen? I assume just some default bots enabled, or
no, I don't think there's any way you can sort of globally disable bots. So I had to like individually go and pretty much ban them from posting on our subreddit again. So I'm sure there's going to be other crazy bots that come around. I couldn't even find a way to report them because the one is sort of useful. The other ones are like just trolling bots, and I sort of looked for a way I can report this so this stops, because they're doing it a lot and they've got this really obviously trolly nicknames and usernames and stuff. So it's like, this shouldn't really be here. How can I report this? How can I make it not happen? And I just got some generic Q&A page about, Reddit's an open speech community, and if you feel like you're violating it, go away.
Robots don't have rights.
Yeah. Whoa, I don't agree with that statement. For our future corporate overlords, please have mercy.
But anyway, user Anybody Seen George commented about mind mapping software, which was definitely not the thing I thought someone was going to comment about. But he did raise an interesting point, which I haven't thought about before, is to use mind mapping software to map out business logic and like process flow. It was kind of interesting, and I have since kind of dabbled with it, not with something very complex, but just like try to use a mind map to see how, and it's actually not bad. I was pleasantly surprised. It is still not enough to to have mind maps make sense for me. I have, like I said before, like me and mind maps, I always think it's the best tool for the job, and then I get about 60% in and I realize, oh gosh, this is a terrible idea. Why did I put myself through this? And then I always go back to text.
Yeah, good old text. No, it's an interesting thought. I like the idea behind it, especially using it on like technical knowledge, so you can at a glance see what goes where and how things connect together. But yeah, I don't like fiddling with graphs and pointers and things everywhere. I just rather quickly write everything down I know, and then hopefully in the future me can uncipher the garbage that I wrote down, which generally doesn't happen, but I've learned over the years to put enough tabs and spaces and little ASCII arrows in everywhere so that I can sort of uncipher my own text, which works okay, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, most of the time when I do business logic, I write out all of the comments first. So I'll map out the entire process by writing comments, and then I fill in the code.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then at the end, it's literally just the cleaning up the comments and making sure that the comments are in the right places, following the logic flow. And then making sure that the comments are not explaining the code, but describing why it's there.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the comment shouldn't say like loop through this, because that's obvious. You can see it's a loop and it's doing this, but within the loop you might have to say like, okay, but in this loop now check for this and this.
Yeah.
And if this is true, then we do this and this. So kind of.
Yeah, you want to describe the logic, not the functionality.
Yeah, comments shouldn't be explaining the obvious. It should be augmenting what's already there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a kind of a side tangent, but...
Nerd.
Right back at you.
Guilty. We should also explain for the listener, you might have seen it's been a while since we've spoken to each other. We've decided that we are going to adjust the attempted schedule of 2 weeks to an attempted schedule of 3 weeks for every new episode to come out. We've both agreed that it would be easier and more sustainable on our schedules to push it out an extra week to give us some more time to think about, to ponder, to observe in the clubs, to be productive people instead of just trying to be productive all the time, but being very busy.
Yeah, it was fun when we were just starting out and there was not a lot of stuff to go through and prepare and, you know, all that stuff. But now it's starting to be a lot of work. And releasing a podcast on the Friday and then immediately recording on the next Wednesday, it feels rushed.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time for things to settle.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be better. Apologies that you guys will have to wait a little bit longer, but it'll be worth it. Promise.
We'll be more engaged on other platforms.
Yes.
So I have been doing a 30-mile march. 20-mile march? I forget. What was it? 50-mile march. Some miles have been marched.
That's too far. 20-mile march.
Okay, 20.
But yeah, okay, you can march 50, dude. Whatever works for you.
I'm marching 50 miles. This is a long-term goal.
Cool.
I actually did read that book. Thank you for the recommendation. It was very interesting. It was another one of the books where it could have been 100 pages shorter.
Yep.
But that tends to happen with most of the books in this category, so I don't even take a star off for that anymore. It was very interesting. There was a lot of insights in there, a lot of extra backstory. I decided to follow your advice and do something actionable and set a goal, and I made the goal a really small thing that I can do every day. And in fact, it's something I do 3 times a day, which is for our health club, which we can talk about later. But one of my health club goals was to lose some weight again, because I have been really bad with going to the gym and not eating well at all. So instead of setting a ridiculous goal of I want to lose X amount of kilograms or define it in any kind of way like that, which I've done, and then it just leads to deprivation and sadness. This time I decided that the goal was to march every single day 3 times, because I eat 3 times a day. And that would be my breakfast, lunch and dinner is reasonable. So I set in my to-doist 3 times a day, I get a pop-up around the time I eat and it goes, was breakfast reasonable? And I started with that. It worked really well. And then a couple of days into it, I changed the term from reasonable to optimal, because it's really hard to lie when is something optimal.
Yeah.
You can sort of squeeze your way out of, yeah, it was reasonable. And that got me started. But as soon as I started the change to making it optimal, that was lunch optimal. It's like, oh, you can't lie about that. So then if I take it off, because I have to, like, yeah, it really wasn't, but I take it off, I feel so bad. I usually just skip the next meal because I go, yeah, that is optimal. I'm punishing myself now. And then I stopped doing that because I don't like punishing myself. And now every meal is like on target the whole time. And I've actually lost all the weight I wanted to lose. I'm right back where I was.
Nice, dude.
This is weird. It happened so fast. I was like, oh, wow, I wish I knew this brain hack months and months and months ago.
Well done.
So now I can like go outside and have drinks with friends and it's guilt-free because I go, yeah, it's fine. It's not an issue. I'm where I want to be. So thanks for your advice, I guess. See, goals are good, Jacob, younger Jacob, and probably older Jacob.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, like it's similar to what I experienced with the coffee thing. Like the act of tracking it is enough for you to rein yourself in.
Yeah.
I'm still like only drinking my first cup of coffee when I get to the office, and I don't drink any caffeine after 2. And it's working really great. Like I really go over 3 or 4 cups a day now. I literally went out from 8-9 cups a day to like 3-4 cups a day.
Look at us being all healthy.
Yeah, the other thing I did was switched out all white flour based processed goods over to whole wheat.
Oh, nice.
It was because of our family setup. It's an easier change to make than paleo or full blown banting or whatever, because family is like a large corporate. It doesn't change direction quickly.
Yeah.
You have to make small changes over a long period of time and then eventually adjust course. So switching to whole wheat was an easy-ish thing to do, and still hitting the gym 5 times a week.
I've been so bad with the gym. Like, don't know.
Well, having a gym buddy helps a lot. It's paying off though. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling way healthier. I already lost like just over 3 kilograms.
Nice, congrats.
Well, that's and I built muscle. So it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't been checking the body fat. So I need to get one of those fancy scales to track the body fat and
The
stuff.
gambling addiction machine.
The gambling addiction machine. And
Maybe that's why it worked.
yeah, I need to get me one of those. Went for a health checkup the other day. Good old Discovery health checkup, and everything is in range.
Nice.
Everything is where it should be. So it's good. No, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling healthy. Everything else in my life is falling apart, but at least my health is doing okay.
At least you have your health.
I got that going
That's the
for
thing
me.
people say. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, as for things falling apart, I did something very ironic this past Saturday.
What did you do?
I hosted a personal finance meetup.
Ah, nice.
It's ironic because my personal finances are in shambles.
Well, you didn't claim to be the master, so that's fair enough.
That's true. But yeah, it was cool. It was a pretty big turnout.
Nice.
And yeah, it was
You had a speaker there. You had a proper venue, not like last year when we were just at some place with name tags and pens. That's all I remember, really.
yeah. No, this time was a guest speaker and everything. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And I mean, that's why I started doing it in the first place, was my personal finances weren't great. So I threw myself into that niche and made myself accountable in a sense, by surrounding me with that people and making myself necessary in that sphere. And met a lot of cool people, got some really cool new contacts, friends even. It's cool.
Nice.
Don't actually know what else I want to say on that.
No, it's just good to know that you are carrying on the personal finance tradition without me. I've been figuring out how to personal finance UK. It's pretty similar actually, but it's also not at all, because everything is... some of it is really futuristic and modern and easy, and you can open a bank account with an app and you get the card the next day and Apple Pay and everything's great. And then on the other side of it, it's like, oh, you want to get this account where you can get 1.1% interest per year. What? Crazy. You have to post us your actual residence card and your actual passport. Please send that to us in the post and we'll get it back to you in 2 weeks and open your account. It's like, no, I'm not doing that ever. Sorry, thanks.
So like the actual original, like...
The original, the real thing.
How is that even a thing?
It's like, can I rather send you a fax?
Can I drive there and hand it to you and you give it back same day?
Well, yeah, you could do that, but it's so far to go for me. And it's like, no, not for 1.1% interest rate. Thank you, sir. It's fine. I will just go risk my money somewhere else. Thank you.
But yeah, so that's my my personal finance journey. It's not really a journey. It's more of a crawling through glass shards and fire. I don't know.
It's so dramatic. I like it.
It's not been a fun 2 months. Let me just say that. But on the flip side, through all of the Coda stuff that we did for the Product Hunt Maker Festival, I actually got a paid Coda gig.
Yeah.
So, well, I can't really share much of anything at this point, except that.
Oh, yeah. Great chat.
It kind of, so when everything started going pear-shaped about 2 months ago, I made the decision to focus on adding value without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
Just wherever I go, just add value. And I'm not asking money, even though I really need it. I'm just adding value everywhere. So that was a big motivation for me for the podcast planner. It was just like, I think this is valuable. Put a lot of time into that, and I'm just giving it away for free.
Yeah.
And just putting it out there. And like slowly but surely, like that stuff's coming back, you know? And I think sometimes you're so focused on making money that you lose sight of the bigger picture, where if you're just focusing on genuinely making other people's lives better, like it has to come back. You have to reap what you sow in that sense.
Yeah.
And that kind of got me, well, during this time where I'm trying to add all of this value and stuff, I came across Naval Ravikant stuff again on Twitter. I've known about his stuff for a very long time.
Yeah.
But kind of haven't been noticing him. But now lately is been noticing a lot of his stuff again. And a lot of his teachings or Navalisms have been really resonating with me lately. And so I've been kind of digging into his stuff again. I'd like to get your thoughts as well. Like, do you know about Naval?
It's the weirdest thing for me because he's also been on my radar, and I follow him on Twitter for a long time, I would say, in the Twitter world. And also recently, his stuff has sort of found its way onto my YouTube and onto my Twitter again. And when I saw you put it in the doc, I was genuinely freaked out because I was like, how did you know? Because literally yesterday, I watched a video of it before opening the doc this morning and going, oh, we're talking about that? Cool. So that's sort of scary, but also sort of interesting. Maybe there's some sort of a bigger push going on in society that we're not aware of, which could very well happen, given how disconnected we are from everything. But yeah, he's a really interesting guy, very smart guy, obviously. I do like a lot of his wisdom, but I just think people also need to sort of be aware of his position, where he's coming from with a lot of this stuff. And also who he is as a person. Because like in some of his things, I agree 100%. And then some of them is like, okay, that's just you. He did these Periscope videos that you can get on YouTube still if you want to go watch them. They're pretty good. In one of them, he likes saying he doesn't like a scheduled life. Like his ideal life is to be as unscheduled as possible. And I mean, the idea of it, I love. But in practicality, I cannot function like that. Even though I always thought I would. As soon as I got on a strict schedule, it just like my world opened up. So it's probably a lot of the things he's saying is similar in that kind of way, where it just works for him really well. It sort of connects back to the goal setting thing, where I've been thinking a lot about long-term goals that I want to try and position myself for. Because the main one I had was moving countries, and I've done that now, and I'm starting to feel settled here. I've made some friends, I've made some, habits that I like and things that I enjoy doing here. So everything is sort of, it's calmed down, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And now I'm making space again to be bored, to allow my brain time to think, to not just be filled up with other people's thoughts. And doing that, I'm starting to generate ideas again about, startup ideas and things I want to do. And then coming across Naval stuff where he speaks a lot about you have to have money that works for you, or you have to have IP that you can leverage, or you have to have pretty much code that can run on 1,000 machines. It doesn't cost anything to replicate. Those kind of ideas, I've sort of been leaning towards that again. And I want to think about some kind of startup ideas and things I can get going again in my free time. Because I think I am in an interesting position. One of the things that he also mentions is you should be in the waterfall. And one of the questions someone asked him on the Periscope was, if he had, I don't know, like $100,000 to spend on himself, and that was all he had, what would he do? And he suggested that you should be in the waterfall. So if you work in tech, you got to go to Silicon Valley, basically, right? You got to be where all the good people are and where all the money is for those kind of things. And in his second Periscope, he sort of clarified that again, where he said you got to be in the waterfall. But with remote working and things like that, it's not as clear to be in Silicon Valley anymore because it doesn't really matter. Startups are really anywhere. Unfortunately, the place where I'm at now is like tech central for London. So I'm pretty much in the London waterfall. And I definitely want to start leveraging that in some way because I haven't been building those connections for a really long time. And it's probably been stupid of me, but I've been focusing on other things. So I don't want to give myself too much of a hard time over it. But yeah, it's been really interesting to come across some of his stuff. What has resonated with you? What are you like focusing on?
Well, puzzle pieces again.
Yeah.
So I came across this blog post on podcastnotes.org.
Oh yeah.
That kind of summarizes a bunch of his Navalisms, and I keep coming back to like setting rules in your life and rule sets. And that's nagging at me, dude. Like ever since we talked about this stuff, it's nagging at the back of my mind the whole time. And there was this one piece in there that was about decision-making heuristics. And I read that and I was like, and also because I need to make a lot of big decisions now in my life, like he's got a 3-step flow for making decisions. And it's when you're faced with a difficult choice, if you can't decide, the answer is no. And that, like, just that is really, really good.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I want to like it, but I also don't. So no.
And then if you have 2 choices to make and they're relatively equal, 50-50, you take the path that's the most difficult and the most painful in a short term. Because like short-term pain can equal long-term gain.
It could.
Right. So you make sacrifices now, but also then you need to make sure
it's a worthy sacrifice.
Yeah, obviously not just
suffering.
Yeah, with anything in life it's not as clear cut as this usually. And then the other one is in times of interpersonal conflict, make the choice that will leave you more equanimous, I think is the word.
Yeah, close enough.
But it means internally calm, which I guess that does make sense. Like if you have to make a tough decision, like you have to pick the one that makes you feel okay with yourself, like the one that centers you, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll take that as far as make the choice that you're not going to immediately doubt yourself in. Because if you're just going to doubt yourself the whole time, then you're not moving forward. You're just staying on the choice. That's what I get from that. I wouldn't read too much in it, really.
Yeah, well, there was a whole bunch more in the post as well, which I cut out.
Yeah, he's got a lot of things that he says. And I mean, smart guy. He can go for it. Much rather that than some other social media nonsense.
Yeah. So I think what resonated with me with this stuff is that it's, once again, hard rules, right? It's something that you set, and it's something that you can refer to. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly this.
Yeah.
I think what resonates with me is like consciously sitting down and writing rule sets for yourself. Like, what do I do, me as a person? What's my take on when I need to deal with a difficult decision? How do I do that?
Yeah.
So for instance, if I've got 2 very hard choices to make, I would usually make a pro-con list, right? But he literally says, if you need to make a pro-con list, like the answer is no.
Yeah, that's easy to say if you're already wealthy. I mean, of course.
That's true. Like that part I disagree with. Like I would still do my pro-con list.
One of the things he also said is, if you want to be in the kind of space we're in, where we work in IT and we're like computer nerds, and you want to sort of leverage that to build some sort of a startup thing where you can make crazy amounts of money, you're probably not going to be able to do it if you just sort of do what everyone else does. So you have to find something specific and get really good at it. And then you have to stay up to date with the bleeding edge of technology, so that when that next thing is about to break, and that next thing is the one where you are uniquely skilled in working with it, then you're going to be able to leverage it to be sort of the 10 times or 1,000 times or the 100 times or the whatever times it's going to be for you, that multiplier. You have to be on the edge. Now, that's also something I stopped playing with bleeding edge things all the time, and now I just sort of play with things that I find interesting, that I find relevant to my life. So I sort of ruled it out by going, oh, this is going to be really interesting. I know it's just going to be a time kill for me, because that's one of the things, like thinking I'm going to hedge my bets and just focus on a couple of specific things. But I haven't sort of tailored those specific things to include bleeding edge technology.
Making sure that you have the right skills to be right place, right time. That's also, I think don't know if it was him or it might have been someone else that tweeted it and he retweeted it or something. I know he was somehow involved, but there was this thing about lucky people, and then it lists the traits of lucky people, and it's like work hard, push. So you literally create luck by making sure you're in the best position when an opportunity comes along. That's how you get lucky.
And you try all the time. You have to roll the dice.
Try all the time. Yeah. Have you ever read Cal Newport's book, So Good They Can't Ignore You.
Yes, I liked it. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a good book. And I love the terminology that he uses in that book, where he says, that whole book is about spoilers, debunking the passion myth, right?
Yeah.
And saying that finding your passion is advice that only works for the 1%. But he gave me some terminology which has been very useful for me when talking about this stuff. And he said, spend like 10 years getting really good at one thing. Like, put all of your energy into one thing. It doesn't have to be something that you particularly love, or in the words that he doesn't want to use, passionate about, right? You don't have to be passionate about it. You just have to kind of like it. But then spend a lot of time getting really good at it. Like, really good. Then when you're really good at it, you have to look at your other interests, other things that you like, and then you see how you can combine that with the thing that you're really good with.
Yeah.
And he calls that your adjacent possible.
Oh, yeah.
That term, adjacent possible, has stuck with me, because that is where you find your passion. When you create something unique by combining two of your interests, and you're really, really good in one or two of those areas. And the cool thing with programming is it can literally overlap with anything.
Exactly. It's so wide.
So if you're a really good dev, like, you can find any other interest that you kind of have. It's such a good foundational skill, programming.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on that, because I think that really brings that together. That phrase, adjacent possible, I kind of reworded the word passion to adjacent possible in my mind, because it's something that you work at. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's something you have to look for and find.
Yeah, I think the general idea of a passion is really like social medialized. It's like, sure, look at this thing. I love doing this thing. It's like, yeah, maybe just because it's new and interesting. Anything that you think you like, if you do it for long enough and you do it well enough, you're gonna get to a point where it becomes difficult and it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
And then if you were just going on, oh, this is so much fun to do, you're gonna lose interest, or at least I always do. So for me, sort of passion is sort of competency with something and understanding it at a deep level. As soon as I've got both of those things going, then like the more I learn, the more interesting it becomes. The more I do stuff, the more stuff I want to do. So it's sort of this weird inverse curve where it starts out where I don't want to do anything, where most people go, oh, and I just want to do this. This is my passion. I sort of go, I don't want to, and then I figure out how it works, and then I get interested in it. So it's strange. It's strange, but there's a lot of opportunity, I think.
Yeah, I always look at these pro gamers, like people that play Dota for a living. I was like, I actually envy them sometimes. Like, I wish I was that passionate about one thing and only one thing.
Yeah.
I know it's not easy, but they make it look so easy.
Yeah, no, I think it's high stress.
Yeah.
And I do not envy them. Like, I envy how much money they make, but you can make a lot of money doing a lot of different things. So
yeah, that's true.
I would rather not.
No, I don't think it's something about that. I would never be able to be like that. Like, just focus on one thing and make it my everything. But it's almost like I wish I could.
Yeah.
It feels like life would be simpler if I could only focus on one thing. I think like I overcomplicate my life a lot.
This is known.
Yeah, because I've got too many interests. Way too many.
Hey listener, we want to take a moment to thank you for your support. Over the next couple of weeks, tweet us your hashtag RP Observation Club entries and we might just talk about it on the show. That's all for now. Thanks. Now, I just think that a lot of people, they sort of like want to be, take for example, a YouTuber. They want to get into it and they immediately go, yeah, I can make so much money. Or I can reach this famous position, or I can have all of this status. And it's like, well, maybe, probably not statistically, but even then, that shouldn't be why you get into something. You should get into something for you, because if you want to have it be sustainable and you want to have it be something that energizes you, it's going to have to be enjoyable in some sense. Now, it might not start out as enjoyable, but you're going to have to know why you're getting into it. And if you've got that, then it flips over where it's just fun to make stuff just for the sake of making it. And that's probably been the best teaching tool I've had my entire life. It's just I come up with dumb things I want to make just for myself, and then I do it. And then I always think, oh, there's no way this will ever benefit me, like say professionally. And then it's always probably less than a month, and I actually use that skills that I learned while just making a thing for myself. I find a way to use that skill because it's sort of a position where you don't know you're gonna use something because you don't know it yet.
Yeah.
So you can't see the value of something you don't understand yet. It's that kind of a deal.
Yeah.
So I think I just wanna challenge people to go make something for you. Like what do you want? Just make something, have some fun.
Yeah, also your life goes where you focus. So if you're focusing on making cool stuff and learning new skills, like naturally you're going to be following that piece of string and kind of untangling it and getting more stuff. So like, for instance, with this coder stuff that we're doing, you know, like I'm only getting like paid work now for that and all that kind of stuff because I followed that piece of string.
Yeah.
If I never heard about Coda, obviously I wouldn't be like in this position doing this stuff.
Yes.
So like life is literally what you focus on. And if you're going to be focusing on adding value, like I stated earlier, if you're just doing cool, small, fun stuff to add value to people's lives, that's going to come back to you at some point. You know, you're going to be sitting with like all of these little karma bundles. I guess this is also like my observation club for today.
Yeah.
You create these little karma, I don't know what to call them, like things that you send out.
I like karma
Bundles. And you send them out into the ether. At some point, like they come back to you tenfold.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like they grow and they come back and you're like, oh, wow, this is so cool. Like I never expected this is going to happen. And all you really did something fun and put it out there.
Yeah.
And then people resonate with that. Like people see, wow, you know, you put a lot of effort into this. This is really cool. And then they want to work with you and they want to, you know, so it's like at the end of the day, I just want to do some fun stuff. Like that's what I want to do. I want to build cool, fun stuff that I enjoy building and hopefully people enjoy using.
Yes.
That's what I want out of life.
That's a very good thing to have defined, I think.
Yeah.
My observation club is, well, I don't have that much more to say about it, thankfully, because time has passed. But you called me out on Twitter. I tweeted that moving countries has taught me more about myself in 1 month than the past, 5 years or whatever of introspection. And it is true. I still stand by that statement. I have definitely learned more about myself in the past month and a bit than ever, really. And it's sort of strange because you've also mentioned that you get the impression, at least, that I know myself pretty well. And I still think I know myself pretty well. But it's sort of, as you go through your more formative years, you question yourself a lot and you question why you believe certain things and why you think certain ways. And you pull on all those threads and you see where they go. And you sort of, at least I sort of came to answers for most of the things. And I stopped really thinking about it that much. I stopped chasing the thread because I like to think of the metaphor as a person as this house, right? And you got a whole bunch of rooms. And if you're in your formative years, you go into all the rooms and you see what's inside and you look under all the furniture and you check out the paint and you make sure you know the house, right? Mm-hmm. But then you get comfortable and you think, okay, I know this house. I'm not going to waste my time walking around checking out all the weird stuff. I'm pretty happy with this room. I don't like this room. Let me just close the door and let me just stay in the kitchen and the living area and the bedroom, right? And I sort of forgotten about some of the rooms I have going in my house because I didn't see any value in going in there. Let's just say I thought the issue was settled. Like there was no actionable value in spending time dealing with this issue because it's just an issue that goes in circles, like politics, for example.
Yeah.
It's like I know what I stand by and I don't care for arguing about that with anyone because nothing can come from it, right? So I closed that room in my house and I haven't bothered going in there again. I must give some of the people I've met here credit. Some of them ask really good questions, which suddenly has me defending a lot of opinions I had. And the weird thing is, I'm not even sure I stand by all of the opinions anymore because it's like, I had this room, I inspected it, I was pretty happy with it, I closed the door, I didn't think about it. And now people are forcing me to go back into the room and go, why do I think this? This is nonsense. Or, okay, I think this, but I don't know if it's the right thing to think anymore. Like some of these things I need to revisit maybe. And that's why I ended the tweet with, it's frighteningly interesting. Because it's like, it's not something serious that there's much value in still, but some of it is like, I sort of want to say, I don't like the person I've become when it gets to a couple of the rooms. And I know it sounds bad, but it's just me being honest with myself, which is something, it's like one of my favorite qualities about myself. But some of the things I think and stand by are sort of, mostly some of the things I do as well. It's like, it's habits that have formed over the past 5 years, probably since I started taking note of these things. But it's like, I don't think they are as valuable anymore as I always thought they were going to be. So there's definitely some improvement in the house of Jacob going on at the moment. Yeah, we're having some construction work done. It's strange. I don't know. Yeah, that's more than I thought I was going to say about it. So it's good that I remembered what the train of thought was for it. I don't know. Do you have any advice from the house of Daniel?
I love that analogy. That's a very, very cool way to look at it.
Oh, thank you. Came to me on the bus.
Yeah, wow. I'm actually like trying to process all of this. I've never thought of it that way. Like, you know, these are these rooms that you kind of close and you think, you know, yeah, everything's fine. But then cracks start to appear and, you know, it's not being maintained. And, you know, and one day you open that door and it's like, what the hell happened? When did the geyser burst?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is this whole place flooded?
Exactly, yeah.
Like that in a movie in Zatura where it's this house floating in space and you literally open a door and then there's nothing. Like you think there's a room and there's no room. It's just like you go off into space.
Yeah.
Just abyss in all directions.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell happened here? I'm pretty. I don't have like I don't know what I wanted to say there, but it's a very cool analogy. It actually helped me to think about, you know, the areas of my life that I'm either not facing or haven't thought about in a very long time, and doing some cleanup, you know. But it's also like you mentioned, like things that you decide on, you think, okay, this is what I believe, and then, you know, you kind of accept that as your truth.
Millennial speak, but yeah. You're happy with it, so you close the case.
Yeah, and this is now a fact in your mind, right? This is how it is. Like no one's convincing me otherwise. And you know, you need to challenge yourself.
Yeah, I don't like having opinions like that are unchallengeable.
No, that's very, very true. I'm very intrigued. You've got another thing bouncing around in my head now, in my subconscious, and just nagging at me.
Right.
Stop doing this. You're planting seeds of destruction.
I'm not trying to. I promise.
One of these days, my head's just gonna blow up.
I thought the idea of the podcast is that the overarching theme is this wise man tells this young kid how to live his life. And now I'm just ruining yours. Oh, great.
No, dude, I really appreciate your input. It's making me think.
Well, we can wrap up with the dashboard update.
There's progress.